Very serious.
Okay, let's move on to this then, because this is just an incredible story that the Mail appears to have broken on Sunday, or for the Mail on Sunday anyway. They call it a Mail on Sunday exclusive. Liz Truss's personal phone that was hacked by Kremlin agents was so compromised it was locked away in a secure location as experts fear top secret negotiations and private messages may have been leaked. Now, the Mail on Sunday reported this and it did get some traction elsewhere. But apparently, one of the key points here is that this hack was discovered prior to the leadership election, Brian, and that Boris Johnson, while he was still Prime Minister, decided that it was best, and Simon Case as well, who of course is the Cabinet Secretary, decided that it was best if this story was suppressed. So they suppressed the story, and as a result, someone who allowed their phone to be hacked because they were using their personal phone for government business ended up becoming the Prime Minister. This is quite an incredible situation.
Well, one of my key points over recent days, Mike, has been who is it that produces the next Prime Minister? Who are the people who meet in rooms? Where are the minutes? Who are the people? Where are the minutes of their meetings? Of course, the UK public simply not told. It's a dictatorship at work in UK. It's very obvious now.
So let's put the Mail back on and see what it said. It said it's understood that messages which fell into foreign hands include criticisms Ms. Truss and our future Chancellor, Mr. Kwarteng, made of Boris Johnson, leading to the potential risk of blackmail. I don't think that would be the biggest risk of blackmail, but anyway, sources said that up to a year's worth of messages were downloaded. They are also believed to include highly sensitive discussions with senior international foreign ministers about the war in Ukraine, including detailed discussion about arms shipments. And the Mail goes on to say the astonishing incident disclosed by security sources solves the mystery of why Ms. Truss was forced to change the mobile number she used for over a decade shortly before becoming Prime Minister. The move caused anxiety among cabinet ministers and advisors who were suddenly unable to contact her. And again, I'm going to ask, what on earth was MI5 and MI6 doing? How did they not do something to prevent her becoming Prime Minister? Because surely part of their role is to vet people who are taking positions.
Supposedly it is, but as we heard from Alex the other day, it appears that when you get up the food chain, you're considered automatically trustworthy, and the vetting procedures for mere military people don't take place. So presumably the same was true with Ms. Truss.
So let's bring Anthony Glees on screen then. And he's from Buckingham University. He's widely considered to be an expert in these areas. He said the implications are horrifying. We now know a foreign power hacked the personal mobile phone of the talkative Liz Truss. The severity of this security breach can hardly be overstated. As a former Prime Minister, ex-Foreign Secretary and ex-International Trade Secretary, Ms. Truss was the chief custodian of our national security secrets and the recipient of invaluable MI6 intelligence. We need an immediate judicial inquiry led by a High Court judge to establish how this happened, who was responsible, and precisely what information was compromised. I believe Boris Johnson, who was Prime Minister at the time, should not have suppressed the news, although it's possible there were sound security reasons why this had to be done. If the media had been able to report the story, Liz Truss would have had no choice but to resign. It goes without saying that her ambitions to lead the country would have been over. Now, this was then followed up in the Mail by another article. Ministers ordered by spy chiefs to stop using their mobile phones after suspected Kremlin hack on Liz Truss sparks security clampdown. And it says ministers will be warned they should never use their personal mobile phones to conduct government business. Now, do they need this warning? This is quite incredible to me that they do. But anyway, that's what the Mail is reporting. But let's just remember over the last couple of weeks what the Russians have been saying. This is Igor Kirillov, the commander of Russia's Nuclear Protection Corps, talking about the United Kingdom, specifically singling out the United Kingdom as being involved in the production of a dirty bomb for use in Ukraine. We also have Russia saying that British forces blew up Nord Stream. UK denies the claim in this headline. And here's the BBC, massive drone attack of Black Sea Fleet. And the key quote here is, without providing evidence, Russia accused British troops of being involved in Saturday's attack. So the question is, how did Russia know? If Russia is very clearly singling out the UK here, Do they know something? Have they discovered something from Liz Truss's phone? Well, we can't know that, but these are questions that I think that need to be asked. But Kim Dotcom, who, as we know, is on the various Ukrainian kill lists, he had something to say over the weekend on Twitter. He said, "How do the Russians know that the UK blew up the Nord Stream pipelines in partnership with the US? Because Liz Truss used her iPhone to send a message to Senator Blinken saying it's done a minute after the pipeline blew up and before anybody else knew, question mark." So he's asking the question. And he's making the suggestion that, in fact, it wasn't her phone that was hacked, but her iCloud account. But anyway, that's what he says. And he goes on to say, it's not just the Five Eyes that have backdoor admin access to all the big tech databases. Russia and China have sophisticated cyber units too. The funny thing is, government officials with top security clearance still prefer using iPhones over their NSA and GCHQ issued encrypted phones. So anyway, I just want to bring this on screen because this, I think, really changes the context by which what happened with Suella Braverman, how we might think about this. So this was a headline: Suella Braverman resigns as Home Secretary after sharing secure information from private email and takes aim at Liz Truss in departure. And David, the key point here is that Suella Braverman's resignation brought Liz Truss down, and effectively did anyway, and she is no longer Prime Minister. But I just find it fascinating that was the excuse, that was the wrongdoing. I think there's many questions to be asked around this story.
Oh, for sure. I mean, who in their right mind would discuss arms shipments to Ukraine over a mobile phone? I mean, really? Surely that someone in that position would be well briefed on the vulnerability of that means of communication. I find that just quite astonishing.
But we also had the incident, didn't we, where Ben Wallace was caught with a comedian, a Russian comedian, I can't think of the man's name, who called him, and he thought, Ben Wallace thought he was actually talking to Zelensky. At the time, I thought, what an incredible breach of security, because how did that phone number get out? But of course, what we've got to remember is that over a great many years, we've been shown time and time again how good the Russians are at espionage. And we know at the moment how particularly good they are at matters to do with technology relating to signals communication. So this is a shambolic situation, but once again, it was covered up. Boris Johnson is in the middle of this, and yet this was an incredible security breach. If I may, Mark, I'll just ask you for some comment, because I see a slight irony that whilst the Americans have put in what must be a very expensive social media signals intelligence team into Ukraine, it appears that the British politicians are simply chatting over their mobile phones. It's laughable.
Yeah, and that's why I'm laughing. Yeah, it's ironic and laughable if they're so serious about the conduct of this war and the fact that they want to prevail over the Russian autocrat Putin and whatnot, that they'd be so casual about it. But America's involvement is not surprising, but it illustrates how important information is, how much that is superior in warfare to anything you do militarily with ordnance or with explosives. Intelligence is everything and information is everything. And so America is playing some subterranean advisory role that could very well grow. And it's just a question of what path or what avenue that growth might take and how fast it might go. So that's something to really keep a close eye on, is exactly what are the states doing, remembering that in 2014, they helped overthrow the pro-Russian Ukrainian leader in the first place. So what are they up to now? I'm sure it'll go beyond what we're hearing, and we need to keep a close eye on that. That would be what I would offer for now.
Yeah, thank you very much.